playing the video to the end, which was an incredibly successful technique that I help my addicts with, it requires you to logically, without fear of abandonment, unnecessary anxiety, to go through every step of what happens if and when you decide to leave a narcissist. So what I tell my clients to do, and what I encourage you to do, is to imagine what happens in the beginning. Like there is a video. It captures every nuance. And that video is going to show you what's happening. It's going to show you what's happening with you and kind of what's going on inside. And it's going to show you what's going on with the narcissist, and similarly inside and outside. And you're going to see what happens when you do something. So you set a boundary. The narcissist responds this way. You respond that way. You start to feel this or that, shame, loneliness, anxiety, or confidence or security. The narcissist responds this way. It's like a movie. You watch how all the events play out. And because it's a video, you get to play it not only to the end, but you get the advantage of rewinding it, putting it in slow motion. So when you are trying to decide what to do with a narcissist, and it is a big decision that could be set a boundary, call the police, contact your lawyer, or any other potentially consequential position or boundary you take that by its very nature could scare you. Now, by the way, if you do the right thing, the healthy thing, that could scare you. If you do the dysfunctional thing, that could scare you. But in this video, I want you to pretend you are watching exactly what happens based upon what you have learned, and then go all the way to the end. So in the case that you're playing the video and you are new to my program, and you set a boundary, and you threaten divorce, or some other threat that's not as consequential or frightening to the narcissist. In therapy, we would do this technique, and I would say, okay, well, what happens next? And then I would say, okay, well, you just did this. What do they do? And my clients can easily do this because they have been through these situations over and over again. The problem is they never remember how it ends. They just stop in the middle of it. And so I said, okay, well, you do this. Let's play this video to the end. And I walk them through the progression of events. And if they are in the beginning of recovery, the progression always means they back down, they shut up, they give threats that they can't back up. And eventually they are manipulated, threatened, overwhelmed to go back to their fear-based, shame-based, what I call prisoner status. And that's the end of that video. And that video is a sad video. And it very accurately depicts what happens in the early part of the recovery of if they do A, and look at what happens with B, C, D, and E. You play it to the end of the video, and there is a sad ending. But then as you get better, as my clients get better, we then shoot the video again. And it's, of course, all hypothetical, because the purpose of this exercise is to not do anything until you are really confident. And I should have said this in the beginning. The purpose of this exercise, this technique, is to be extremely confident that if you proceed with one strategy, is to know how it's going to end based upon all the evidence you understand. And if in this video it ends in disaster, humiliation, shame, then you know that it's not going to be a good idea. But the most value from this technique comes from when the SLD moves forward in recovery. They start to develop confidence, higher levels of self-love. They start to understand that their feelings are not contingent upon negative thinking, pessimistic thinking. The gaslighting that has been drilled into them is now starting to be neutralized, dissipated. The gas is being turned down. And so then we shoot another video and we go through the steps. And I know in the middle part of our treatment, it's not going to end with happiness, freedom, and self-love abundance. But the ending is the ending. The ending must be considered factual. Because if you can consider it factual based upon a logical analysis of your mental health, relationship status, all of the environmental factors, including the people in your life, children, job, etc., that video you want to put on the shelf because it is representative of what will happen if you do one thing and how it's going to end. And when you go through this exercise and you play the video to the end, then you understand better if you should do what you plan to do or modify it or delay it. So now let's use this technique with advanced levels of recovery. My client, through the Self-Love Recovery Treatment Program, has gotten to stage 7, which is setting boundaries in a hostile environment. They've already completed the proceeding preparing for the narcissistic stage. It was done successfully. So you are ready to set the boundaries and are prepared for all eventual outcomes proactively, like a good chess game. You're ready, you know your opponent, you know your opponent's moves, and you just outplay them. And so you set the boundary. So now you play that video to the end. And as healthy, as progressed, as self-love abundant, which is the opposite of self-love deficient, you might think you are, if you go through this video accurately, you will see the limitations of either the plan, your limitations, or other limitations, because at the end of the video, you're going to see how it turned out. And so that exercise, going through it logically, will get you to the end of the video and you'll find it's not time. Maybe I shouldn't do it. Or the plans that you have are not as well thought out as you had anticipated. So by going to the end of the video, you're always going to find out how it's going to turn out. And if you go through it logically with neutral feelings, in other words, don't start too optimistic and happy or don't start too depressed and negative, it's going to show you that maybe you have more work. Okay, so let's now go further in the Self-Love Recovery Program, and you have accomplished, worked through, developed the necessary psychological, mental health, personal communication, boundary skills, etc. And you go through the video again. And you find out through this logical analysis, which always helps if you have a therapist, trust me, because we see what the other person can't. And you find out that you're going to succeed because you start looking at everything logically. And once you, let's say, do a protection order or call 911 or this, that, and the other, you are now watching the consequences play out that are based on, firmly entrenched on fact. And at the end of that video is success. Now, in the beginning of the video is anxiety, nervousness, but confidence. And you walk through each part of it and you didn't fast forward it. And at the very end is success. Well, you have that video. So in conclusion, this technique, playing the video to its end, is hugely important in the recovery process. If someone wants to move from self-love deficit disorder to self-love abundance, and that technique will give you all the information you need to know on where you start in some position, boundary, initiative, and where it'll end. And not only will the process of going through the video, the discussion of it, help you understand what is true and what's not, what is overconfidence, what is pessimism, or what's accurate, but it will help you better understand the logically based facts for which one action creates another and another, so that you can better plan, analyze your strategies to eventually escape this horrible disorder, self-love deficit disorder. Now, I didn't say escape this horrible narcissist, because if you escape the horrible narcissist and you don't do anything with your self-love deficit disorder, your broken picker will still be broken, and my picker's a he is always going to pick the wrong one. Or as my therapist said, the same woman with a different face. And that's how the human magnet syndrome works. So I hope this helped. And please consider this when you are overwhelmed with anxiety, fear, dread for doing something, because by playing the video forward, you might confirm that such anxiety, dread, and fear is warranted. Or you might confirm that it's not, based upon what you know about your abilities, your skills, and your knowledge of both yourself, the narcissist, and what will happen when you exercise self-love abundance to a person who will do anything to neutralize it. Okay, well, thank you. If you want more information about anything I do, please go to selfloverecovery.com. And I look forward to the next time we get together and I have more information for you. You take care and be well.